So speaking of the Iraq wars, Lula recently, he's the new elected president of Brazil, and he beat what they called Brazil's Trump, Bolsonaro. And back in 2022, Lula said Zelensky and Biden share the blame for Putin's war on Ukraine. He said both of them do. So now he's starting to change his tune a little bit. Yeah. So President Zelensky, this is from March 2nd. President Zelensky spoke with Brazilian President Luiz da Silva on a call about Ukraine's peace plan on diplomatic strategies to end Russian aggression. Zelensky thanked Lula for backing Ukraine's UN resolution on peace and territorial integrity. Oh, boy. So here, Brazil, Lula tells Zelensky he wants to help with Ukraine peace. So what Lula originally was going to stay neutral, blame both people, and let's get to peace as fast as possible. But now he's getting a lot. I'm sure he's getting a ton of pressure. And so Brazilian President Luiz da Silva on Thursday renewed the proposal for his country to take part in international mediation concerning Ukraine during a call with Zelensky. I have just had a video meeting with the president of Ukraine. I reaffirmed Brazil's desire to speak with other countries and participate in whatever initiatives around the construction of peace and dialogue, he posted on Twitter. We cannot be of interest to anyone. So that's positive. That's all him not taking sides. Let's just get to peace. Zelensky confirmed the phone call and thanked Brazil for supporting a UN resolution on February 24th that demanded Russia immediately and unconditionally withdraw its troops from Ukraine. We highlighted importance of upholding the principle of sovereignty and territorial integrity of states, Zelensky said. We also discussed diplomatic efforts to bring peace back to Ukraine and the world. The conversation between the two presidents came a day after Brazil's foreign minister, Mauro Vieira, met with Russia's counterpart, Sergei Lavrov, during the G20 meeting on foreign ministers in New Delhi. While many Western countries have sent weapons to Ukraine to help it defend itself against Russian aggression, and even more have imposed sanctions on Moscow, Lula has ruled out sending arms to Kiev. So that's great. Instead, he created a group of countries seeking to produce a negotiated peace deal. The Brazilian presidency, in a statement Thursday, reiterated that Brazil defends the territorial integrity of Ukraine. That's not good, but also wishes to gather a group of nations capable of talking with both sides of the conflict to promote peace. Lula first made his proposal public during a conversation with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz in Brazil on January 30th. He also presented his idea to the United States President Joe Biden and France's Emmanuel Macron. Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister Mikhail Galuzin said last week that Moscow was studying the proposal. Last year, Lula came under fire for claiming that Zelensky was as responsible for the war as Putin. So that's the end of that. Let me bring in Jose. What do you say to that? I certainly Lula is trying to thread a needle here, right? So he's trying to get to peace, but he has to work with these other maniacs who are pro-war. So that's what it looks like to me. It looks like he's trying to thread a needle and not get himself kicked out of the meetings, right? He's trying to be a force for peace as much as he can without, getting offed by the CIA. What do you say?
I say, look, I support Lula's call for peace and his initiative to get to that. I think not only him, but also we've seen this from Xi Jinping, where they put out a 12-point proposal on how to end the war in Ukraine and Russia. All of these leaders do need to be supported in their efforts for peace, but I think what really matters is the responsibility of the citizen, right? Because if we aren't putting pressure on the United States to actually work with Lula, work with Xi Jinping on getting rid of this war, on trying to get peace and diplomatic talks, well, then we're only making Lula and Xi Jinping's job harder. Right? We are the ones who need to increase the pressure on American politicians so that they actually bend to our will. And I'm not saying it's an easy thing to do. It's not. But look at the effect that my interventions have had with my friends, right? It's only about a handful, I'd say under 20, but they've gone international. Look, the original AOC intervention that my friend Kynan and I did back in October, I've seen it dubbed in Spanish. I've seen it translated and subtitled in Russian, in Chinese, in German, right? Like, obviously these things, and the Hakeem Jeffries one, same thing. It was translated and subtitled into Chinese, and it had like 16 million views over in whatever their social media platform is, like WeChat or something, right? The world is looking at the citizenry of the United States because our government has been hijacked by these war hawk maniacs who are ready to pull the trigger at any moment. And so what they want, what the world needs, is a strong American citizenry to wake up and wake up from its sleep so that we can be awoken to reason again and demand that Biden and our politicians not only end the war, but be held accountable for starting it. Because we're on the verge of a new paradigm. As like Helga Zeppler-Rusch likes to say, we can either enter a world where we can have new diplomatic peace talks and we can actually work with other countries. We don't have to treat them as enemies, or we can blow ourselves up. That's the choice presented between in the world right now. The old empire is dying, but the problem is they're suicidal maniacs, and they will blow up the world before they let anybody take over.
That is the problem. The problem is that the people who want economic control and hegemony are not letting go, and that's why they're willing to start 2 nuclear wars at once. That's why they're doing this in Ukraine. That's why they blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. That's why they're willing to put a hurt on their own people in the United States and in Europe to fight an economic war that only a handful of billionaires are going to benefit from anyway. That's what this is all about. It's what it's always about. If you want to see my stand-up special, become a member at jimmydore.com. It's only $10, and come see our live stand-up comedy in Los Angeles, Palm Springs, Milwaukee, St. Paul, Honolulu, Northampton, Massachusetts, Syracuse, Cohoes, New York, Hartford, and more.